The Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation is going back more than 75 years to look for inspiration and a way to solve the country's housing crisis. This house in the northwest community of West Hillhurst was built in 1947. It's believed to be a model home from CMHC's first housing catalogue, which included, quote, new attractive designs of low or moderate cost houses. The federal agency, then known as Central Mortgage and Housing Corporation, believed an updated housing catalogue could spark an infill building boom across the country. The first catalogue led to the creation of 1 million of these so-called Victory homes and Strawberry Box homes across the country. The new 2025 catalogue has 50 designs. 7 of them are specifically for Alberta and designed by Albertans like Michael Dubb.
All of the different building types share a certain DNA, which is based on practicality and efficiency and affordability.
They range from laneway homes, known more formally as accessory dwelling units, to fourplexes, sixplexes, row homes, and stacked townhomes.
I really think that they have potential.
Mark Erickson is a designer and developer in Calgary. He's building something similar to what CMHC wants to see in existing neighborhoods, something the federal agency calls gentle density, missing middle housing, anything bigger than a house but smaller than an apartment building, infills that create more housing units. Erickson's project will convert the site of a former single-family home into an 8-plex. He says he would take one of CMHC's designs and run with it.
Really simple forms and really sort of simple layouts. So trying to get rid of anything that's excessive with how it's built and how it actually comes to be.
But Erickson says there's a bigger issue. He says the City of Calgary needs to streamline its approval process for these types of projects. Erickson says it took 6 months for the rezoning and public hearing, another 8 months for a development permit and another public hearing. And while they've been given partial permits to start work, they're still waiting for their building permit.
I think that's going to be critical, is how municipalities really process the permitting and approval process, because they have to find an efficiency there. Otherwise, it's going to be really difficult to see these types of housing projects take shape and to become reality.
The association that represents builders and land developers in Alberta agrees. It says there's more potential in building CMHC's laneway houses because the larger units, the 4 and 6plexes, would require rezoning in most cities.
You're going to need to go through a public process. There's a whole bunch of barriers that are going to get in the way. The other barrier we run into with kind of redevelopment with these types of units are you need pretty comprehensive development permits, which adds quite a bit of time and cost to it.
It's a good step. I don't think it's a magic bullet.
This professor of planning says the housing catalogue doesn't address the barriers that homeowners and builders face when trying to develop missing middle housing.
They need a lot more robust support financially and regulatory measures that need to be introduced, and also measures that make that process of approval straightforward and indeed not necessarily subject to so much evaluation and also public engagement and appeals and various other hurdles.
Michael Dubb says building zones were a factor in the design process.
We worked hard to make sure that it's going to work in most zones, especially in the Edmonton and Calgary regions, and also beyond that.
The City of Calgary says part of the reason for the delays in approving missing middle housing applications is that the homes are discretionary, meaning that they are currently not permitted under existing zoning rules, and they'd have to go through a full review process. To help speed up that process, the city is actually putting together its own housing design catalogue. It's looking for 9 designs for 2 and 4 unit semi-detached row and townhouse dwellings with secondary suites. The designs would then be pre-approved by the city, with building and development permits issued within 8 weeks.
So we're just looking for those designs that have already been through the process, the approvals process, and hopefully, something that would work well in the Calgary context. And that's what we want to put in our catalog.
But what about CMHC's new housing catalog? Could we see the city actually move ahead with those designs?
I can't comment on that. We're looking at how we're going to manage those. But I wouldn't say that in the future that we couldn't look at those designs, make sure that they work for the context, and add them to our catalog. We just have to see what that looks like.
CMHC says the final architectural design packages for its new catalog homes will be released later this spring. Brian Labby, CBC News, Calgary.